In a minute. We are fixing to get on the Algiers ferry to take us to New Orleans. Just for you guys, I'm actually going to go down the steps in the ferry and get on the nose of it, and I'm going to show you the ferry ride. So stay tuned. Alright guys, when we left New Orleans, the ferry was pedestrians and automobiles. Now it is a pedestrian only ferry. So I'm going to turn you guys around and I'm going to show you the ferry ride. So we were at the front over here, and we walked off at the bottom. Over this used to be for cars. That's the aquarium of the Americas tropical area. And then the World Trade Center and the ferry trans walkway. So next, lunch. This used to be the Rivergate, a large, for its time, conference center. Now it's Harrah's Casino. That's the Red Line streetcar. It goes up and down the river. Bicycles, and these have motors in them. That is neat. Alright, we're on Decatur. And down this way is where House of Blues is. And then where we're going to eat is going to be this way in Decatur. We're going to a place called Miss Sparrows. This building here used to be Dixie Beer Brewing Company, and now it's a mall. They have some interesting ways to get up, like to the restroom and all that. It's a ramp you walk up where the beers, they used to be able to pull the beers down through. So, let's go find food. That's more of the old brewery. It's also where Hard Rock Cafe used to be. I don't think it's there anymore. And then there was, oh, what was his name that owned the bar? Anyway, oh, Schwarzenegger used to own one. The former coach of the New Orleans Saints, not Morrow, what was his name? Anyway, but I don't know what's left in there. So, onward. Alright guys, we are at one of my favorite places to eat. Has been for about 30 years now. It's called Miss Sparrows. It's in a historical building. Most of New Orleans is historical buildings, so I'll give you a look. We're just passing by. We're at an open window, open doorway, and then because we have Sam with us, even though he's a working dog, they asked for us to sit by a window, which is not a problem, or a door, which is not a problem. But there's the bar, and then it has these beautiful arch details. I don't know what this building was before, but I do know that it's, you know, pretty old building. Oh, and only in New Orleans do you have all the doors open and an air conditioning running. Jackson Square, you'll see where they put them, but we don't use actual horses, we use mules. And the reason is because the horses will drop dead in the heat, whereas the donkeys and the mules will not. Again, this building used to be one of the breweries. It was Dixie Beer Brewing. And I remember the beer cans were made of tin. Were made of tin when I was a kid. That's T-I-N, not T-E-N. Jackson Square, one of the quote-unquote alleys.
Hey, it's cold water. It's cold water.
Anything to make a buck around here. That's Jackson Square. We'll go in it in a minute.
They don't have a lot of,
It's the weekday.
oh, that's right, yeah.
That's why I want to come during the week.
Yeah.
Too many people on a weekend.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, when I was a kid, this was closed because it was in such disrepair. This is the park at Jackson Square. And then that is the spires of St. Louis Cathedral, which is in back of the park, which is just a small park, But here's the big statue. Let's check out the tree. I said check out the tree. I don't, so, palm. Chris, no.
Sir. Sir. We do not allow dogs to use at all.
He's a service animal.
Ma'am?
He's a service animal.
Come off the grass with it.
Thank you.
It's not a bad thing for dogs.
No, but the birds can shit here.
Which guy?
Came in through, and we no longer can go upstairs. It's not safe anymore, and I apologize if I'm whispering, but that is the Catholic still in me. So, but we'll go further up in the front. But like I said, the room we was just in usually isn't open, so must be a holy day of obligation.
and that says in France, Louis IX ordering the Salade. And all the windows in the church show scenes from the life of Caesar, from the beginning all the way to the end.
Wow.
So, they're all in purple, they're all archbishops, except for one. He was promoted from here to Chicago and was made a cardinal. So he wears red. It's Cardinal Cody.
Cody, yeah, we remember him.
I remember him too.
Yeah.
I'm glad when he got
That's where
Chicago.
we're from. We're from
Yeah, and you
Chicago.
sent him to us, thank you.
I shouldn't say that, but he was not a...
No, I know. I know his history.
Oh yeah, he was part of the Bourbon. Yeah, Bourbon Street, not named after the booze. It's named after the House of Bourbon. So he was one of the House of Bourbon. At that time, the King of Spain was a cousin. He was a Bourbon. So you had Louis IX, and he's the one, this ninth, who adopted the fleur-de-lis as a sign of France and the Bourbons. Of course, the French don't use it much now. It's a royal emblem. But it was called Flower of the Lily, and it stood for the Blessed Trinity, because you had three things in one. So he was Louis IX, there was a Louis X, 11th, 12th, 14th was the Sun King, the Great King, the one we named Louisiana after. Then the 11th, and then, the 15th and the 16th was the one who lost his head. So that was it for the Bourbons. And then it became a republic. Now, since it's, do you know what a cathedral means? Most people don't. The Old Greek word for chair, a seat, a throne is cathedral. So the cathedral is the church where the Archbishop has his seat. That's his seat of authority. Sort of like the president has the Oval Office. That's his throne, if you want to call it that.
Oh, wow.
And the reason that cross has two arms, this is an archdiocese. An archdiocese has other dioceses under it.
Right.
The diocese has a bishop. Now, he doesn't get involved in day-to-day operation.
Right.
But if you did the hierarchy, you would see that. So the flags you see here is, of course, the Vatican, America. That is the flag of the Archdiocese of New Orleans. And it has the pelican, which I'll explain later, 3 fleur-de-lis, and 3 southern magnolias. The other 5 are the other 5 dioceses of Louisiana that are part of our family. And their symbols, heralded symbols, which connect them. For example, the second to last, you see the wavy lines. It's Lake Charles.
Oh, wow.
You see the one, the fourth from the end has that blue border with the gray. Those gray things are bells. One this way and one invented the other way, inverted. And I did a lot of research there, and that's the Diocese of Lafayette. And so when they needed a coat of arms, they took that from the coat of arms of the Marquis. I love heraldry. These are all the flags of the countries that had a presence here, ruled here over the years.
Oh, really?
Come over this way, it'll be easier to see.
First one?
The first one. That's the flag of Ferdinand and Isabel. But the reason we have it in here is that's the one that was carried by Hernando de Soto. Believe me, everything else was pure swamp. It was nothing. Rampart Street was the rampart. I mean, that was the city. But the beautiful thing is, Katrina, 80% of the city was underwater. A lot of it was underwater for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't mean underwater, I mean
Underwater.
one place in the French Quarter flooded.
Wow.
So this old Frenchman,
No, yeah.
300 years ago, using common sense,
No.
did better than all these engineers. Because if this French Quarter would have been underwater like that, I think it would have just dissolved.
Right.
Old bricks and old things like that. But luckily, not. The only damage we had in this church was we lost some shingles and our organ got soaked. But the organ company was kind enough to take it apart and rehab it and put it back. But that's the only reason we have the French Quarter, because it's this guy had a pretty good idea.
It's amazing.
Sir, before I go, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Philip Martin. I'm retired and a volunteer. And I'll tell you a little funny story about myself. 50 years ago, when I was in high school, I was a guide here in the summer and on Saturdays. They paid me. And after being a banker for 37 years, furniture for 15 years, I said, what am I going to do when I retire? I said, I'm coming home. So I love church history. So I'm a guide here and at the old Ursuline convent.
Okay. Thank you,
I
sir.
recommend.
Thank you.
You didn't ask all that.
No, but
If you ask me a question, you're not going to get a shot.
no, he's
I
from
think
the
you'll learn that already.
right. I'm from here. I understand.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate this. I learned things that I didn't know, and I'm from
You
here.
know Our Lady of Prompt Succor over here.
I went to Our Lady of Pomsaka in Oswego.
Every church has a statue of Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Our Lady of Fatima, Our Lady of Lourdes. We have our own Mary here. Notre Dame de Prompt Succor over here. This is a copy of the original statue. In France, in 1810, Napoleon closed all the convents.
Right.
And some of the nuns wanted to come here, but their bishop would not let them go because he had to do an underground catechesis. But anybody who got the nuns
Confessionals. I know a few times they used to find homeless people sleeping in the confessionals. So after the gentleman gave his little spiel, this is the outside. And then these are now museums. Let's see. Oh, I can go in. Okay.
Brenda.
Hello. And the other day we saw a replica cannon. These are real Civil War cannons that have also, obviously they've been, sealed. Historical marker for the Cabildo. I mentioned earlier it had burned several years ago. I'm not going to do stills because it's really hard to see the writing. My dad and I used to love coming here when I was little. I'm a child of divorce, and my dad always wanted to do something educational for me, and so we did things like this. There used to be the original pharmacy, but I'm not exactly sure where it is, but it was here in the square. These are Pirates Alley. And this is where they used to duel at. And I don't know if it got recorded, but he said Hurricane Katrina did no serious damage to St. Louis Cathedral and the surrounding buildings because of the way that it was built. And then this is the back side of the church, and we can actually go into the garden. But this used to be where they dueled at with pistols. So legend says that late at night, you can hear the pirates arguing, and you can hear the gunshots from their muskets. You can go around the back of the church. And you can't go back here anymore. So let me see if I can get between it. At night, there's a light that shines. I'm trying to get the statue. That's right in front of me. I'm just getting my finger. Yeah. Oh, there he is. See, and I'd been in here as a child. This is the back of St. Louis Cathedral. And this is, like I said, where they used to have duels, pistol fights. And like I said, legend has it that rarely late at night you can actually hear them scuffling. And sometimes you can hear the gunfire. Some of our famous blue dog pictures. And I will put a link in the sink telling you the history of the blue dogs and how they came about. This is the other side of the cathedral, and again, they call them Pirates Alleys because this is where all the back alley action happened. So I'm not going to walk all the way up through this, but we're going to go to this building here, but we're going to go to the front of it, which is now the Katrina Museum. Of the back of the statue behind St. Louis Cathedral. Is next to St. Louis Cathedral, and now it's our Katrina Museum. And at night, I never saw these parts lit up at night, but during a tour we happened to be at night, and I was able to see the Cabildo and the other buildings lit up. We should be able to go right in the gate and no further. Yeah, this is the Presbyterian building. They took everything out. Wonder if they moved the head to have. That's dumb. Back. It used to be a museum when I was a kid. The piano that was inside Domino's house, and they managed to save it from Hurricane Katrina. These are by Hurricane Betsy. My mother was alive for these. And then they're doing the news broadcasts that ran during the hurricane.
This is the real deal. If you can issue a mandatory evacuation, I would recommend you do.
Probably landfall around Jefferson Parish is going to be around 7 o'clock in the morning. I would say sometime before 7 a watch will be issued, because even if the landfall is at 7 o'clock, the outer bands will be there much sooner. So overnight Sunday, there may definitely be a tornado.
And the West Bank is where I'm from.
Area.
If you're out there
And that's what he's talking about.
and you are making preparations to leave, you know, it's been a long day, it's going to be a long night, prepare yourself. What can you tell us about the latest of the trade?
Well, it's not good news.
This cell here is the one that's possibly producing the tornado or tornado-like wind that the severe squall is capable of producing a tornado near Wyclowski or 21 miles east of Chalmette, moving towards the west at 50 miles per hour. These thunderstorms are racing.
We've been driving up and down the streets of Mandeville this evening, and it appears that
Mandeville, where my kids lived, where they were with us in
Highway
Washington.
190 North, which earlier today was jammed with evacuees, is now nearly empty. And all up and down Lakeshore Drive, businesses and homes are boarded up.
We'll go down Lakeshore Drive before we leave, but not today.
Basically, hurricane conditions are possible within this watch area in the next 36 hours. It's a big storm, Eric. It's getting bigger. You can't just think of it as one center point. You have to look at the entire wind field, the entire storm itself.
The mandatory evacuation is up in St. Charles Parish, Plaquemines Parish, and beginning at 2 o'clock in the First Parish, for areas south of the Ontario floodgate.
The earlier they leave, the easier it's going to be for them to get wherever they're going. We don't recommend you go east or west. We recommend that you go north.
The I-10 eastbound has been shut down between New Orleans and Lafayette. You're not going to be able to travel eastbound on I-10 between New Orleans and Lafayette.
The size of this storm is getting close to what the size of Ivan was.
So I've looked at for opportunity there, and this is really the first time I've been very concerned about what the outcome is going to be.
All right, Mr. Rousseau, do you have a sense of how many people have evacuated?
No, I would say 50%.
Really?
Are you concerned about the other 50%?
I'm always concerned about them. I'm hoping that they can try to leave in the morning. They're going to talk to the governor, basically saying I need to talk to this guy who's the head guy at the Hurricane Center in Miami. She gave his number. I called him. He said, Mr. Mayor, I've been in this business 32 years. This is the real deal. If you can issue a mandatory evacuation, I would recommend you do.
Probably landfall around Jefferson Parish is going to be around 7 o'clock in the morning. I would say sometime before 7 a watch will be issued, because even if the landfall...
It's the refinery up in Texaco. Okay. When my kids were supposed to go home, back here, the day before she hit land. the entranceway to this says, "Is this America?" That's them requesting FEMA.
It's too doggone late. Now get off your asses and let's do something. And let's fix the biggest goddamn crisis in the history of this country.
One flags. I'm not to walk in front of anybody.
What happened was, starting Tuesday morning, there was a huge influx of refugees. They were waiting for water. Anyone who was close knew that the Centralia was a shelter of last resort. There were people there and thought, well, I can sit on the roof of my house or I can walk to the Superdome and see some safe air. So we estimate that between, I guess, Tuesday morning and Wednesday night, the Superdome increased about 11,000 to something.
Well, when I moved to New Orleans, I found out that there are hurricanes here every year. And I decided then to make the choice to stay. There were the police department the whole day. The whole day would take people from the Superdome, from all kinds of remote parts of the city. And at 11:30 at night, they called us off the streets because the winds were up to 55 miles an hour and no police vehicles were allowed on the street. 6:30 in the morning, they would
Seats from the Superdome.
We had no knowledge of any water coming across town. Against this, you had, however, like helicopters zooming overhead, which is really eerie. You have the smell of smoke, you can see black smoke rising in the distance as things were burning at a distance. And then at night there'd be gunshots. We had gunshots for several nights. Once, I think, 10, 11 o'clock at night. The fact that almost across the board, between police communication, all law enforcement communication systems, supplies, food and drink, extra clothing, extra everything, batteries for everyone needs, that there was nothing in place in all the city agencies.
It's canned water.
Probably around 9, 10 o'clock, we go in the apparatus house, we go out to the open sheets here, we just go around and dance and all that stuff. Then in the middle of the day,
This is inside our Superdome. Hubz and Sam's are right there. MREs. And my daddy and my mama ate MREs for a very, very long time. I didn't even know where my parents had gone. I had the Red Cross looking for my mother, and my mother was found in the place where she grew up in Pierre Part, Louisiana. And my daddy was in Texas, but my parents didn't have cell phones, and cell phone systems were down. So for about 4 weeks, I had no idea where my parents were. markings look like in the communities. These are pictures from Hurricane Betsy. And I'll do a still. More photos from Hurricane Betsy, which was 1968 or 69, I don't remember. Yep, we came out of a hard place. They decided that they needed this is how to use, it's hard to explain. It's overpowered. That's Domino and a bunch of the local artists put on a benefit. Alright guys, we're on what they call the moonwalk. Not like Michael Jackson. These are jetties to get to the boats. We usually put the riverboat right over there. Is it Mississippi Queen or the Natchez? And their paddle boats. And then across the river is where we were headed. When I was a child on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, they used to have things like this that went out for a half a mile or a mile out into the water, and you could go fishing or what have you. But after several hurricanes, there are no more of the jetties to walk out over the Gulf. That'd be one thing I'd love to do, is take the boat out to the island, but I don't know if we're gonna get to do that this time around. So, alright ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the video for today, and we'll be back again. There are other things we want to see, but being disabled, both my husband and I, it's kind of hard for us to walk for long distances or periods of time.
See you next video.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back in the city again soon to visit other places, and I will be vlogging it. So, you know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, ring the bell so you know, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye guys.